the F.E.A.R franchise was a terrifying one, to say the least, for myself. And guys, look, I've said this on a number of occasions. I'm a huge horror fan. When we're talking video games or movies, I love them. I love them. I love them. They're like, they inspire me. They really do. I just, in a number of different ways that, I'm not going to get into right now. But the horror genre is a very unique and very creative one, in my opinion. I thought that the F.E.A.R franchise showed a lot of creativity, bringing in the first-person shooter to also having significant horror elements in it. And it just was a terrifying experience where you're holding, a weapon, right? A gun in a movie or in a game, and there's times where you just feel so helpless. Like, there's just this terrifying entity that's still there that can take you out in any moment. And so it was something that really, it kind of got to me in a major way, and it got me really into the horror genre of video games, was actually the F.E.A.R franchise. And so, look, First Encounter Assault Recon, guys, F.E.A.R, a franchise that I want to see come back. And so we're going to talk about F.E.A.R 4 and why it should exist. So let's talk about it. Guys, like I said, that, the F.E.A.R franchise, up to this point, we've had 3 games. And look, what happened with F.E.A.R is kind of what happened to a lot of different games that are, like horror games, right? They kind of made these similar mistakes, and this is what I'm getting at. Choosing action over horror. So I'll give you an example. Dead Space had 3 games. The first 2 were based specifically around horror with action elements in it, and then the 3rd game came out and it became more of an action game with horror elements. So they changed the formula in a way where they were trying to kind of build a bigger audience, but actually they were really hurting the fan base that they had already built. And so F.E.A.R, I feel, took a similar approach here. Horror, like, it was kind of like a horror game with, shooter elements in it. And then, of course, we get to F.E.A.R 3, and it was more so a shooter game with some horror elements once again. And they just kind of changed the formula a little bit. And the story got convoluted a little bit in F.E.A.R 3, but by no stretch of the imagination did I think it was bad. I thought it was good, but I think a lot of it started with the marketing, actually. I thought the marketing of F.E.A.R 3 was not that good, and I thought that they were spending a lot of money on marketing that wasn't actually helping sell the game much. I just didn't think that it was very good. And it was unfortunate, but that's how I personally felt about it. And so, all in all, I thought that F.E.A.R 3 was a good game. Overall, it was a good game, but I just don't think that people really gave it the time of day, unfortunately. And those that did, that are fans of the F.E.A.R franchise, they didn't like it as much. And so the critical reception and the sales weren't as good. F.E.A.R Online, which I was really hoping was going to be something that was really special, ends up not doing well. And so all in all, guys, that brings us to where we are now. We haven't seen a F.E.A.R continuation in a while now. And F.E.A.R 4 would not only continue the legacy, it would continue the lore, the story of the F.E.A.R franchise, which I think that this is a big universe, in my opinion, that they started with those first 3 F.E.A.R games. But I think if they grounded it more and brought it back to what made it so special with the first couple of F.E.A.R games, they would be right back on track. Making a F.E.A.R 4 like free to play, or at least elements of it, whether that's multiplayer, whatever it might be, making it free to play, I actually think could be really a good thing as well, kind of growing that fan base, bringing people back to playing the game. Having F.E.A.R Online come back, I feel like it was ahead of its time when it came out. I mean, think about it. You got GTA Online, you have, Red Dead Online. F.E.A.R Online, definitely, there's something there. I just think the way in which they did it wasn't accessible to everyone. It just was kind of, it was a little bit confusing and such. I think that if you brought it back, but made it a lot more accessible through all the consoles and just everything, I really think that F.E.A.R Online could do really well. So there's that. F.E.A.R 4 would be another chance at, a horror game that, you know, we know the horror genre does well. I mean, in the movie industry and even in the gaming industry, this could become the next staple in gaming as far as from a horror perspective in the horror genre. And I think they could really continue building something here with this next edition of the game, because I want to see the continuation of it. I want to see where the story goes. I want to see, you know, what else could they really do here? And I think there's a lot that they could still do, even if it was like on another part of the planet or, you know, whatever, new characters and such. They could add new environments. They could do semi-open world to a full open world scenario. I really think, guys, that it's endless what they could do with F.E.A.R 4. And these are reasons why I think it should exist. I think that some of the things they tried in F.E.A.R 3 just didn't work that well, like F.E.A.R Online. And, you know, it was beyond its time, in my opinion. And I think that now, if they tried it again, I think it actually could do well. The question now lies, though, with us as the fan base, we got to voice our opinion and, you know, tell the developers, look, we want this game to come back. And we want this series to come back in a major way. F.E.A.R 4 would do probably really well on the next-gen consoles, having updated graphics and things of that nature. You know, it could really help build, you know, that fan base and such with, and also really help with the, you know, graphically and even with the gameplay, the mechanics, and all of those things could really help continue the growth here of the F.E.A.R franchise. But look, guys, at the end of the day, I can ramble all I want about wanting another F.E.A.R game to come out. But what it comes down to is us as a community. These games come back, or, you know, come back from the grave or from an indefinite hiatus or a limbo state by, you know, the fan base creating a movement, creating something that, you know, builds, and people wanting, you know, coming together saying, hey, yeah, let's get this game made. And, you know, telling the developers that, whether it's on social media or other means, and telling the developers that we want this series back. And a lot of times developers don't listen, right? But there are times that they will, and that they would highly consider bringing something like a F.E.A.R or the F.E.A.R franchise back from the grave. But let me know what you guys think. What would you guys want to see in a F.E.A.R 4? And do you think F.E.A.R 4 should or shouldn't exist? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more F.E.A.R 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.